Business Insider, a bright spot in our nation's beleaguered economy. New data points to an improvement in hiring and greater exports. The Labor Department says the number of Americans applying for unemployment benefits fell last week, suggesting modest job creation could carry over into August. For analysis, we turn to our guest tonight on Capital Insider. Don Garrett is the founder of Resume Not Required, a staffing agency headquartered in Vienna, Virginia. Don, what do you make of these new numbers?
I think it's good news for the people that have been struggling and sending out resumes to get jobs. That will make that emotional experience of not getting noticed, make them try a little harder to get a job.
But the unemployment rate remains locked above 8%. Why is the economy taking so long to recover in your estimation?
I am a little bit of a contrarian when it comes to the job and the unemployment rate. I'm a few decades old, and I've seen the fluctuation of unemployment from 5% to 8% over the last 30 years. And as a job seeker, the people that I represent, if we take the emotion out of the job search and we just need one job, statistics aside and percentages aside, there's nearly 20 million companies and over 160 million jobs. And if you could just take the emotion out of it and you only need one job, I'm pretty sure that the people that really want to get back to work will do so.
Now, Don, you feel resumes have become an ineffective tool in today's job market. Why?
Because I think when you send a resume out with the new monsters and the career builders that have created well over 50 million resumes and job seekers out on the market, and we're out marketing ourselves to get a job, and businesses can go into those sites and specifically look for somebody that, let's say they wanted somebody that had 10 years experience because they believe that the person that they fired or the person that left that company was there for 10 years. They specifically want someone that has 10 years. So if a job seeker markets themselves to a company, and let's say they had 7 years experience, well, they're going to be left out of the equation for an interview because they're underqualified. If they had 15 years experience, they're overqualified, and a business can specifically get that person. Well, when we're sharing that information and disqualifying ourselves from that particular position, all of a sudden it feels like there's no jobs out there. And this is from people that have sent out 100, 200 resumes to get a job. And I've been saying this for years. When we complain that the job market, the unemployment rate is so high, where are people finding 100 and 200 jobs that they believe they're qualified for? So logically, it seems to me that sending them information that shows people that they can't do the job kind of puts them out of the mix to get somebody to hire them.
Now, you're not too keen on internet job boards either. Why?
Same reason. Internet jobs postings open to everyone, and maybe it's 100, maybe it's 200 people are sending resumes. They're still going to be filtered somewhere. I think a lot of job seekers blame it on software, that keywords on your resume is going to get you noticed or not. That's for the Fortune 1000 companies. If you're seeking those jobs, I'm sure they have the software that remedies that. But for the other millions of companies, no, there's an HR department or a receptionist possibly that the business owner is asking them to find 5 people to interview. And I liken it to if you're sharing information of how people spent their daytime hours for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and sharing that information and sending it to an organization that you may have a little different experience, more or less, you're kind of forced into doing more of the same. And in my business and what I've been doing for 15 years and interviewed over 13,000 people, the majority of people don't want to do more of the same. So if you send your resume out showing people what you've done and expects another human being that's never met you, never followed you around over the years that you've worked, to read between the lines to find out not only what you're capable of doing but what you want to do, people kind of get what they deserve because that's all you're sharing.
That's a very good point. We pigeonhole ourselves, not knowing that we're doing it, but we're sending out resumes. People talk about customized resumes. Well, really, tailoring a resume, you end up going for those keywords that you assume people are looking for, but you've got a good point there. So it's a catchy title, your company, Resume Not Required, in
Correct.
Vienna, Virginia. Tell me about the company then.
Okay, well, I designed and created this company, frankly, with my interest in sports and entertainment, et cetera, and I've always been fascinated where they write movies and TV shows around agents. And it seems to be quite successful when you see people get their awards from the Emmys, et cetera, thanking their agent partially for their success. Then growing up as a sports fan, watching my superstars selling cars in the off-season to support their families. But 25, 30 years ago, agents started representing professional sports people. I'm quite aware that cable's made it astronomical for the income that they get. But I was kind of fascinated that individuals looking for something as important as a job. I mean, let's face it, it's the house we live in and where our kids are going to go to college, or if they're going to go to college, if you can go to retire. That's just the money side. It affects how we think people look at us respect-wise, kids, father-son relationships, whatever it may be. And we're sitting out there letting other people decide what we're going to be allowed to do. Just fascinates me. Heck, you could even make a case that unions, and I'm not going to make any political statements on unions, but unions are the agents to the hourly worker, or we wouldn't have an unemployment rate because we wouldn't be shipping jobs overseas. So my firm was just created to be an agent for people that wanted to choose their job.
Now, job placement companies have been criticized, yours included, for charging large fees up front and inflating their placement results. Critics say these companies prey on desperate job seekers. What's your response?
My response is that I guess you could make the same case for lawyers, dentists, and doctors, and I would make anyone aware that fees for services, for anything, you have to understand what it is that you're investing in. I'm not a job placement company. People that complain about fee for services paid up front are what they call outplacement companies, and I'm anti-outplacement. I think the people that work in those industries aren't hurting those people on purpose. That was never their intent. They're trying to do something good for these, what you call the desperate person. The problem is that they're using antiquated things that have been around since the 40s. They're going to tell you they're going to write a better resume. Well, we've already discussed the best written resume that's ever been written is going to fail 98% of the time. Rule of thumb, send out 100 resumes, 98 companies won't even bother meeting you, much less hiring you. Outside of buying a lottery ticket, I've never done anything knowing in advance it would fail me 90% of the time and do it anyway. Those firms you speak of are writing your resume, and then I could go on about this, but they also teach you how to network. They want to teach you how to reach out to people you've worked with in the past, went to church with, family members, and ask them if they know where a job is. And frankly, I'm not a big believer in networking for jobs either. I find that expecting someone that half of them are complaining about their jobs, telling what you ought to do to get a job, when in reality you don't have to know someone to buy something, whether it's a house, a car, a suit. You don't have to know someone. An employer will buy you, will hire you, if they see that you have and can give value to the organization.
Don, it's great to get your contrarian point of view. As you say, you're a contrarian. It's fascinating to hear the other side of the story. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don Garrett, founder of Resume Not Required in Vienna. Thanks.